Welcome, everyone. I am excited to have you here with us today. I'm going to be talking to you a bit about the Coastal Virginia Ecotourism Alliance, or as we often refer to it as CVIA, and talk a bit about our collaborative efforts, methodology, and successes. My name is Jessica Steelman. I am the coastal planner with the ACMAC Northampton Planning District Commission, and I'm here on behalf of the Alliance. So thank you, and again, welcome. Just a brief history, a little overview of our mission and vision. The CVEA was formerly known as the RCVA, Rural Coastal Virginia Alliance. We have recently updated the name to be more inclusive of less rural or non-rural regions, such as Plan RVA, which is the Richmond Regional Commission, which features the lower Chickahominy River. I'll talk about that a bit more as we get through the presentation here. So the CVEA was created in 2018 through joint efforts of the ACMAC Northampton, Northern Neck, and Middle Peninsula PDCs, and most recently joining us is Plan RVA. We also work closely with Virginia Tourism Corporation and the Virginia Oyster Trail. This effort was initially funded by NOAA's Virginia Coastal Zone Management Program to present unique ecotourism activities and destinations for locals and visitors to easily enjoy. The Alliance partners embrace sustainable, vibrant, healthy ecosystems and a resilient, diversified nature-based economy. CVEA also envisions connecting locals and visitors alike to world-class ecotourism destinations. And our current effort over the past few years and continuing on has been the Virginia Water Trails. The Virginia Water Trails, as you can see here, hashtag Virginia Water Trails, hashtag VWT, features trails ranging from beginner to advanced with mapped routes. There are public access points identified on these maps. Again, there's safety information, wildlife, birding, and nature preserve viewing opportunities and resources provided. And while these maps do highlight paddling trails, they are not intended for navigational use. So please do look at some of those resources provided as well as other safety resources before you head out on the water. Additionally, some points of interest are featured on the maps, including Virginia Oyster Trail member sites. And the national trails are highlighted for the Chesapeake Bay watershed. So if you zoom out far enough, it's really neat to see how some of these smaller trails that you might paddle are connected to or branch off into the national trails, which lead all the way up into New York. Again, we are always working on these maps. They're a living document, a living map, being refined and expanded as the tides or times change, as well as any updates from stakeholders. Quick view here of the Eastern Shore map. It's a still shot here. You can see the different colors. So again, as I mentioned, beginner to advanced. So some of the highlights on the Eastern Shore are our seaside water trails. We're really fortunate in that we have both seaside and bayside water trails. On the seaside, you'll see some barrier islands. The bayside offers a lot of bird and wildlife trails, as well as right in the middle of the bay there between Eastern Shore and the mainland is Tangier Island. Up here, you can see the seaside on the left there and the bayside on the right. The Seaside Water Trail runs between the Eastern Shore of Virginia National Wildlife Refuge at Cape Charles and Chincoteague Island. So if you're looking down on the map at the bottom right-hand corner, well, that is a map of the barrier islands. You can see a small dot there by Chesapeake Bay. It says Cape Charles. That's where the Seaside Water Trail starts. And then it goes all the way north up past Wallops there, branching off at Chincoteague Island, and then eventually ending at the village of Greenbackville near the Virginia-Maryland state line. Access to the barrier islands can only be by boat or paddler. So the islands are a great opportunity to go visit while paddling, a great sight to see. And they are protected from development, allowing nature to thrive accordingly. We do ask and promote that you practice the Leave No Trace initiative, being mindful of any signage out there regarding migratory birds, habitats, ecosystems. That way we can have the barrier islands around as long as possible to enjoy in their natural beauty. The Bayside Water Trail runs between Kipta Peak State Park at Cape Charles and Pitts Wharf at New Church, which is just north of the Saxes Wildlife Management Area. You can't quite see that on the map here. However, it is just around Wallops, but on the bay side, a bit north. On the bay side, we do see a lot of countless estuaries and tidal mudflats that during migrations can be teeming with shorebirds. Pockets of deciduous woodlands provide critical stopover points for the migrating songbirds, and the peninsula catches a tremendous number of raptors that follow the coast on their fall migration flight. So while we often think of birds migrating and flying early spring, summer is the nesting season to be mindful of, we also want to take into consideration the fall migration flight. As I mentioned, we do have Tangier Island in the bay, and to kind of share what Tangier Island is and what it means to the watermen there, I have a quote that I think best encapsulates Tangier, and it's from that of a Tangier waterman who said, "It is not an easy way of life. In fact, it is a true labor of love. Commercial fishing and crabbing for the Chesapeake Bay blue crab is physical and demanding, but it is the love for the Chesapeake Bay, its wildlife, and its beauty that makes it worth all the aches and pains we live each day." I think this not only embodies what it means to be a Tangier waterman, but also what it means to live on the Eastern Shore and work on the water here. So next up, we have Northern Neck Peninsula there. You can see again some of their highlighted routes, featuring Minokin, the Rappahannock River Valley National Wildlife Refuge, Cat Point Creek. There's also the beautiful Belle Isle State Park, which has launches for Mulberry Creek and Deep Creek water trails, as well as historic Moratico and the Moratico Waterfront Museum. Here you can see some photos of each of those. I chose an older photo of Minokin. I think it's a gorgeous photo, kind of puts you back in the time. So when you explore Minokin and the Rappahannock River Valley National Wildlife Refuge, you will see that it features colonial era history and the indigenous cultural landscape of the Rappahannock River. Additionally, Minokin was home of Francis Lightfoot Lee, a signer of the Declaration of Independence, and is a National Historic Landmark and one of the best documented 18th century houses in the United States. Cat Point Creek, up on the upper right-hand corner there, is a birder's paradise. It's also a freshwater creek with headwaters starting in Westmoreland County, snaking its way 18 miles down into the Rappahannock River at Naylor's Beach. The Minokin launch point is at about the midway point of that. And on the opposite shore is a high point along the creek bank known as Dancing Point, which is the site of a former Rappahannock Indian village. In the top left there, you have a shot from Belle Isle State Park, which has 7 miles of shoreline on the northern next Rappahannock River and provides access to Mulberry and Deep Creeks. The park lets visitors explore a wide variety of tidal wetlands and interspersed farmland, as well as upland forests. Moratico is a riverside village in the northern neck of Virginia and has been known since the 17th century for its sustenance and identity on the Rappahannock River. A major effort of the village residents has centered around the restoration and preservation of the Moratico General Store, which you can see photographed in the bottom right, which now houses the Moratico Waterfront Museum. Third stop on our map route is the Middle Peninsula. Again, featured here, you can see a still shot of the map. Some of the trails are really neat to see how you can make your way all around the peninsula on one of the advanced trails or take little parts of it as you go. A couple of highlights from the Middle Peninsula are Johns Point Blueway in Gloucester County and Town Point Landing on the East River, which is part of the Matthews Blueways. Some photos here you can see, as well as some maps highlighting where these trails are and where these highlights are. The bottom right hand there is a great site to see. This is the New Point Comfort Lighthouse, which was finished in 1804. It is the third oldest surviving light in the bay, and it is the 10th oldest in the entire United States. On the left-hand side here, we have some photos of Johns Point Blueway featuring 2 routes, beginner and advanced. Johns Point Landing has a put-in access to the Severn River with pristine environments featuring very high ecological value based on the Viva maps. scenic views and historical locations such as Lamb's End Historical Home, pictured there on the bottom left. On the right-hand side, you can see some photos of Town Point Landing on the Upper East River, which has 3 branches of the East River to explore. Town Point Landing has a foot-in to provide access to the town of Matthews on a high tide and some historical locations. Williams Wharf is south, which is historic steamboat landing. There's a photo there on the middle bottom left, or right, sorry. And it has tidal mills and historic homes. Again, there's also protected coves and tributaries ideal for wildlife viewing there. And on the Viva maps, it is a moderate to outstanding ecological value. Coming soon, we're excited to announce, as I mentioned earlier, that Plan RVA has joined the initiative and alliance. So we will be featuring the Lower Chickahominy River as part of the Virginia Water Trails in this collaborative effort. Be sure to check back to the website, virginiawatertrails.org, for their maps soon, coming this spring. Some of the highlights of the Lower Chickahominy features the Virginia Capitol Trail, which is a dedicated paved bicycle and pedestrian trail crossing 4 counties and 51.7 miles between Jamestown and Richmond. Fun fact, Jamestown was the colony of Virginia's first capital, and Richmond, of course, is Virginia's current capital, so it's connecting both of those. Chickahominy Riverfront State Park, which you can see several of the pictures here are from, is a great park in James City County that lies along the Capitol Trail with many amenities from camping to playgrounds to canoe and kayak put-ins, which are open 24 hours a day. The park also offers kayak and paddleboard rentals. On to some more of the technical side of this collaborative effort, our regional initiative methodology. We serve on a steering committee which established the mission statement for CVEA and the Virginia Water Trails. We work with river associations and blueway groups to expand the trails and keep them up to date. We also sought stakeholder input on the outstart of this initiative to create the trails and map them, and we continue to do so throughout each year of this project to maintain the trails and make sure that they are up to date and current. We collaborate with other coastal PDCs in the Virginia Coastal Zone Management Program to develop maps. We also promote economic development through ecotourism. So bringing folks to our water trails not only brings them out on the water, but it also brings them into the localities and counties to see what we all have to offer in each region. Additionally, the development of the public access on the Northern Neck was one of the methodologies that came out of this, and partnering with and promoting the Virginia Oyster Trail has been a huge effort and a huge initiative throughout this time. And lastly, we also partner with Virginia Tourism Corporation to promote and enhance the Virginia Water Trails. Some benefits of regional collaborations that we have identified include the development of a useful interactive tool for paddlers to use for planning their next trip and reference well out on the water, marketing of recreation opportunities. We've also seen a very great synergy between the Virginia Water Trails and the Virginia Oyster Trails, encouraging visitors to plan their trip on and off the water for a comprehensive travel experience. We've had a myriad of ideas and an organic vetting process to optimize benefits for each party and region. And we've also noticed that the sum is greater than its parts. For example, the Lower Chickahominy, which is not really recognized as a destination and as little holding its stakeholders together as a cohesive unit and destination, now has the Virginia Water Trails and CVEA as a platform. Virginia Water Trails allows new areas to create interest as a geographic unit and destination of interest, promoting its identity. Some successes we have seen over the past few years is an increased attention to water trail assets in coastal Virginia, both on the local, state, and federal levels, an increased promotion of ecotourism and economic development in the coastal partner regions, a seamless water trails experience for visitors and recreators. As I mentioned, we have all come together to work on this effort, so the maps are consistent across all of the regions within the alliance. So if you've explored one map, you'll be very familiar with how to explore the others, and you can travel from one region to the next quite easily. There's an ability and ease for visitors to plan their trip and explore remote areas. Another success is the connection to local Virginia Oyster Trail businesses to drive economic activity around the water and land, and a deepening of interregional relationships through collaboration. Additionally, the Virginia Water Trails has been a model for other coastal regions, and we hope that it can also be a model for non-coastal regions, featuring rivers and lakes as well. So I believe I'll be answering some questions in person, but if you have any offline, please feel free to email me at the address at the top there. Go ahead to our website there and check out all of the maps, all of the events, the trail news. You can sign up for our newsletter there and check back often for upcoming events, which we will feature, and hopefully more as the world opens up. If you are interested in becoming a Virginia Certified Eco Tour Guide, the email is listed there. Send a request. I'll put you on the waiting list and send you any information. And lastly, if you're looking to hire a guide for your next trip, we also feature a list of our state-recognized Virginia Certified Eco Tour Guides on the website. Thank you.